Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. How Heat will be aggressive versus Joel Embiid, 76ers in play-in game. The Miami Heat are looking to make noise once again in the playoffs, but they first have to be in it as they face the Philadelphia 76ers Wednesday night in the play-in tournament. Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra and star Caleb Martin spoke about facing the Eastern Conference rival, how superstar Joel Embiid changes the complexion of the game, and the key for victory. For Martin, he was a standout and crucial to the Heat going on that miraculous run last season where they ended up in the NBA Finals. While he appreciates the experience that the playoff run gave him and the lessons he learned, he said to Clutch Points that the past is the past, but hones in on what he took from his impressive showing and is looking to do against Philadelphia. Just be aggressive, the past is the past, nobody lives off that, what's done is done. So nobody cares about that starting tomorrow, or starting to begin this year, and nobody cares about that including myself, Martin said. Obviously it's great to have that experience, and to be able to take lessons from those past experience moving forward. It's a new year, new opportunity to continue to show people that you rise in those occasions, and I'm just happy I get to be in another environment like this in the postseason. The 76ers ended the season on very high note as besides having a dynamic scorer in Tyrese Maxey, they got back their featured player in Embiid who missed significant time this year. On the season, Embiid had averaged MVP-type number with 34.7 points, 11 rebounds, and 5.6 assists per game while shooting 52.9% from the field in 39 contests. Miami knows Embiid well as the two teams have faced each other a ton of times, but only saw the 30-year-old center once this season on April 4, where he scored 29 points in 33 minutes. Spoelstra spoke after Tuesday's practice and talked about the obvious difference when the 76ers have Embiid on the court versus when they don't. It's a big difference. But you can't expect it to be easy. I mean, they're a good team, we're a good team, Spoelstra said. You know, he can score all three levels and draw fouls, that's a ton of pressure on your defense. Defensively, he does really good job of protecting the paint, protecting the rim, so we have to be intentional. But again, we are who we are at this point, they are who we are as competitors, and we're looking forward to it. It's always an exciting matchup between Embiid and the Heat star big man Bam Adebayo, as he's one of the best defenders in the league facing a dynamic offensive player. There's no doubt it will be on display Wednesday, as it could be the storyline that defines the contest as Spoelstra talks about how Embiid changes the way Miami plays defense. It pulls your defense in a different way. So you invert it, obviously. And if you're not extending your defensive three-point line with him, he'll make you pay just he did in the first half, the last time we played him, Spoelstra said. But he can do it with all facets. So in a one-game sample, he can do it in the post, from out there, in pick and rolls, pick and pops, all of that. It has to be our best, most formative version defensively in whatever game he's bringing. If there is a certainty about Wednesday, the Heat have their hands full as they have to maintain Embiid and Maxey. In the result that Miami loses, they host the winner of the 9-10 seed matchup between the Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks Friday. Heat star Jimmy Butler has a screw loose, says former Bulls All-Star teammate. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat are currently gearing up for their run in the NBA postseason, which will begin with a road date against the Philadelphia 76ers on Wednesday evening in the play-in round as a part of the 7-versus-8 matchup, with the winner moving on to face the New York Knicks in the first round of the NBA playoffs, while the loser will get one more chance to stave off elimination versus either the Chicago Bulls or the Atlanta Hawks. This is around the time of year that Butler, with the notable exception of the 2021 season, is known to transform into a different version of himself, carrying the Heat on deep playoff runs in each of the last two postseasons, with the hopes that he will be able to do so once again this season. Of course, Butler's career started as a member of the Chicago Bulls, who drafted him in 2011. Butler began with limited playing time before becoming a sidekick of sorts to post-injury Derrick Rose, coming within 2 games of advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals during the 2015 postseason. One of Butler's Chicago teammates was none other than former All-Star Joakim Noah, who recently stopped by the OG's podcast W/Udoni's Haslam and Mike Miller to discuss what he saw from a younger Jimmy Butler back in those days in the early 2010s. "I think if you know Jimmy's background a little bit, then it all makes sense," said Noah, per the OG's on YouTube. "You know that was in him for a long time, and look, Jimmy, he's as competitive as they come. Is there screws loose? Yes. Is there screws loose with me? Yes. Is there screws loose with him? Yes. Is there screws loose with Pat Riley? Is Pat Riley a normal guy? No, not at all. Is Tibbs a normal guy? Like, does Billy Donovan go to church? No, 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 no." Indeed, Jimmy Butler profiles as one of the most interesting players in the NBA who had to work hard for everything he has at this point in his career. At times, Butler has been known to perhaps rub some teammates the wrong way, particularly those during his short stint with the Minnesota Timberwolves during the 2017-18 season. However, it seems that with the Heat, Butler has found an organization that meets his high standards for both himself and his teammates. Despite not having the most talent on paper, the Heat have proven over the last 2 postseasons that the often mocked Heat culture they often flaunt is indeed a real thing, having knocked off multiple playoff opponents who probably had more talent than them. The Heat will once again be the underdogs as they embark on this playoff journey, which, if they do indeed advance out of the play-in round as expected, will see them have a rematch of last year's playoffs in the first round, either versus the Knicks or the Boston Celtics, who they defeated in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2023. Heat not trading for $176 million star, called biggest regret. Despite the reports linking the two sides throughout the 2023 NBA offseason, the Miami Heat and Damian Lillard never joined forces. After the season they've had, Bleacher Report's Grant Hughes explained why he sees Miami not trading Lillard as their biggest regret. In addition to justifying cap-clearing moves like allowing Gabe Vincent and Max Strus to walk, a Lillard acquisition probably would have helped the Heat lighten Jimmy Butler's workload and produced a finish higher than 21st in offensive efficiency, Hughes wrote in an April 16 story. Hughes elaborated further on the consequences that came after the Heat did not acquire Lillard. Had they landed Lillard, it obviously would have prevented Drew Holiday from winding up with a Boston Celtics squad that won more games than any other team. Add to that the possibility of Miami sending out Tyler Herro, who missed half of the season due to injury, and missing out on Dame gets more painful all the time. Lillard to Miami seemed like a foregone conclusion until it wasn't. The Heat will be thinking about what could have been for a long time. Instead, the Portland Trail Blazers traded Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks. However, their season didn't exactly go to plan either. Lillard is in the third year of a 4-year, $176 million contract, and he also has a 2-year extension when that contract ends. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of Damian Lillard? Leave your opinion in the comments.